Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start your work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries. We have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour yourself a nightcap and turn your fright lights while we take you on a tour of terror. Fellas, we're all here.
Hello!
Oh, Adrian bursting on the scene. I like it.
What's
I'll
going
burst
on,
your
everybody?
scene.
Please do.
What's happening? What's happening? Yeah, we're back. It's another Sunday, another case of the Scaries as usual. Love it, love it. What a fun week this was. We had a lot of fun stuff going on. It was there was a high profile horror film in theaters. Just like technically we've had two. I don't know if I'd say Primate was super high profile, but like
It was
Bone
a big
Temple, undeniably. But yes, Primate was a big win. But yeah, no, that was fun. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, lots of good news. We have some very fun stories tonight. Good updates, I would say, across the board. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm just seeing everybody popping up in the chat. What's going on? What's happening? I see we got Erica here, and I did see your message for just about 10. Good luck with your meeting tomorrow. Hope everything goes well. Let's see here. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. And then we got Violet here. What's going on? Saying what's up to Gracie. I'm just hopping all over. I'm not even looking at the messages.
We've got the Sunday crew here.
I know. But then we got a couple people here. We got Austin. What's going on? Howdy, howdy. Welcome, welcome. And then Murky Waters 13. What's going on? Welcome. Oh, let's see. Went to see Bone Temple last night. Loved watching the review on Patreon afterward last night. Hell yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. That is live now on the channel. So if you guys do after this, if you've seen the Bone Temple and you'd like to get into some spoilery thoughts with us, we sat down with our good buddy Jake and talked about that for about, I think it got about 40 minutes or so, 47.
I think it was like 49, wasn't it? When total clock
maybe. Yeah, it's like I had to cut down a little bit and rearrange a couple things. I had fun making the intro to that one. I thought that the music timed well. I really liked where I don't know if you watched it, Luke, but I cut like the dancing sequence with the fire.
Yeah.
With the scene of all of the Jimmies, all the fingers on the bench, like looking at the people before the t-shirt scene, and it just like transitions really nicely. So, every once in a while I impress myself.
Well, how much penis is at the start of that?
Not enough. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any.
Not ours.
I want to say the penile content is copious at first, and then it goes away for a little bit, and then at the end, when you're missing it, it comes right back to reward you for hanging on.
It rears its beautiful head, as they say.
Yeah.
Adrian, are you coming? I think you might be coming through your camera's microphone now that I think about it.
Huh.
You sound a little boxy compared to usual. Am I a catch? Is everybody else catching that? Because
I am as well.
Okay. I'm like, I might be
check.
losing my mind.
It's a stylistic choice from Adrian this week.
Yeah, we're going analog.
Oh, I like it. Bombard my senses, please, sir.
Yeah. We got a movie that was too much. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Oh, Gory's here. What's going on, Gory? Welcome back, as well as Gannon back up in the chat. What's happening?
Yes.
And Davey Deathray stopping in. What's up, Davey?
In the chat. We miss you, buddy.
Davey!
Hell yeah. What's going on? All right. So I think you sound a little better. I don't know. I
hope so.
Okay. Well, we'll run with it. We'll figure it out. But why don't, since I know Luke and I have our spoiler-free review, we have the spoiler review up on everything, so you can pretty much find our thoughts on 28 years later, The Bone Temple, but Adrian just got back from seeing it and has not given us his thoughts, so we're here live with y'all. I want to hear what you think, being a huge fan of this series. What did you think of the second film, sir? And let's stay spoiler-free. Just putting that out there.
Of course, I got you. So, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. As usual, I go into it blind as I can anyway. First impressions, man, I couldn't have dreamt of a better sequel to the first of the 28 years later. I'm hoping it's going to be a trilogy. I really am. I'm sure y'all who've seen it know why. But, talk about a different type of opening this time. I feel like we're used to the traditional kind of like, we see, I don't even know, is this a spoiler? Like the beginning scene, the trope that they usually do?
I wouldn't say like. What do you think, Luke? I wouldn't say majorly. I think that it's pretty
No, I don't think it's gonna like be a
ruin anything.
crazy.
It's
It's
the
not gonna affect anyone's viewing. I don't think.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess we'll just say like they broke the pattern, which I found interesting, and they introduced me to sort of like the gang, the Jimmies, you know what I mean, the Fingers, and I gotta say, what a faction, man! Their cruelty is some of the most unmatched. I want to say the most I think I cringed was during one of their scenes, and man, they are gruesome. Especially that opening scene, they're kind of doing like an initiation ritual. And I found myself feeling some kind of dread for the scenario, you know what I mean? And then as it unfolded the way that it did, I was like, well, this is just the world that they're in. It's a world that doesn't reward weak behavior. You got to pull your own. And clearly this guy's got a particular kind of theme he wants to keep going, right? So he's got to do what he has to do. You got to earn your keep, basically. And so that was very interesting. Obviously, Bone Temple's in the sentence. We know that a good bit of this is about that place and the doctor. And just seeing what he's been up to since the last film was really cool. This movie did something that not a lot of zombie IPs have done, and it's to explore kind of the future, what comes afterwards, right? A lot of stuff we watch that has zombies in it typically stays in the deep end of the apocalypse. It's just kind of like, hey, we have to put up with this. There's no changing this. Now we're just adapting, and you get to see our story. The things that that they're working on in this movie, it looks at a potential solution. And that's what I'm very, very happy to see, kind of going on a tangent here, but it reminds me of the last episode of The Walking Dead season 1, where they go to the CDC headquarters. I was like, finally, some answers, a step towards a solution. And then it ends up, I don't want to spoil that, but this has been out for like 15 years. So cover your ears if you haven't seen the end of Walking Dead season 1. But the CDC facility explodes at the end. It's like, well, there goes that, and yeah, it just went in depth in what was going on. It gave us kind of like a lore drop's worth of information about what's actually going on here. And I was really happy to see that.
Oh yeah.
Gotta leave it there.
No, I get it. We'll get into it a little bit with you here too, because I think there's a lot of really solid stuff. I've seen a lot of really great reviews. I know I've talked to a couple people here. Gan and I were chopping it up a little bit earlier today while I was doing some chores around the house, just talking back and forth on it. I think it's just a really well done sequel. I think like the thing that I think is drawing people to this, the kind of, I guess you'd say, constant theme that I've been seeing is that this one feels like it has more of a central antagonist, and I think that's very important for a lot of people. So I could really see how the first film feels very almost anticlimactic in a sense, because it's like, you don't really have this big moment other than this emotional moment, which we don't usually get in these kind of movies. So I think this one having more or less an emotional climax again, but with some more stakes and consequences, I think was really cool. And I do think that it sets us up beautifully for what hopefully this next one will bring us home into whatever might come after the 28 years trilogy.
So I just want to verify they are for sure going to do a third one. Like it's still greenlit and everything. Okay.
All greenlit, awesome, all good. So
yeah, I was seeing some doubts about their box office take home, but I don't know. When I went to the theater, granted, I was in like the Dolby, like Atmo theater or whatever. They gave me these glasses. Personally, I didn't think they did anything. But hey, it was cool, man. Actually, they did darken my vision a little bit. I had to like flip them up and like, see what was going on sometimes.
That's crazy. So was it like 3D? What was it?
Sharper images, like sharper sound. The sound, you could hear the panning a lot better in the background, but yeah, I didn't really, I don't know, sharper image. Maybe that's about it. But
when the third one comes up, we got to coordinate you to be in town for the press screening, and we'll shoot a review, just the three of us, and then we can talk about it. Because I'd love to take Adrian to the Phoenix Theater just to see something there so he could see it. Because like that, again, that theater also produces, admittedly, some of my favorite experiences that we've had on the channel over the last year. Because like seeing Superman there, it's like a nice state-of-the-art, beautiful, brand new theater. It's amazing. But seeing like Jurassic World, definitely, like I've watched that movie a couple times now since then, and it's like, yeah, maybe not as good as the first time I saw it, but it's one of those things where it's like it's still that experience on the theater makes a huge difference, and it does.
100%. I will say this, man, watching it in the Dolby theater, every jump scare that was supposed to get me got me. Everything was, the jump scares definitely were higher up on the reaction radar. I just invented something. Oh well. Anyway,
so, I guess really where I want to sit with this, and I want to know where you're sitting, kind of, I guess, like non-spoilery, and then, you know, as we go along, maybe we'll do something on here before the third one comes out so we can really dive in deep with you. I want to know, where does this sit compared to the rest of the films in the series so far?
I mean, it's kind of hard to compare them to the older films in my mind because they're of just a different quality at this point. But I gotta say, the first 28 Years Later is still my number one pick.
Fair.
This one I might put at number 3, or dare I say number 2. The first one being kind of like, you know, contesting that number 2 spot.
Hell yeah. No, I like that. I was curious because, like, yeah, I know, just knowing you and growing up with you, it's like, I understand that you're a huge person about world building and about details. And I feel like that's what the first film just encapsulates so well, is like, we're really just showing off, all right, here's 30 years after this apocalypse. How does life work? And I'm like, that's just such a you kind of movie. So like, I completely get it. And it's
I
like,
loved it, man.
Oh yeah. It's like, and I think that it's great because I like both of them. So it's like, I would probably have this one edge that out, but I do want to watch them back to back eventually and just kind of get that full experience to see what it is.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel about Stranger Things, but this one will be a smaller time sink, so I might do that sooner.
There you go. There you go. Well, that was great. I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad we got to chat about it a little bit. If you guys at any point during the show want to bring something up about Bone Temple, we can kind of hop back into it since it is one of the things where it's the popular movie right now. But we do have a pretty stacked docket, as well as we got to play catch up for Adrian here. So he's got to talk about Scream 1 and Scream 2 tonight. So I won't delay us any further. Why don't we dive into some of the news? Because like I said, we got some great stories. I'm excited to get into everybody's thoughts and feelings on some of these.
Absolutely. We can start off with a surprising, I guess, teaser. I wasn't expecting it this week. We had some images drop initially, and the next day we were followed up with Lee Cronin's The Mummy that'll be coming out here in a few short months. Now, this has been the subject of a little bit of controversy. Now, this had come out that maybe we were going to get a title change at first. It looks like we're going forward with The Mummy. And then there was a little bit of controversy that made its way online about some negative test screenings. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I think it has been debunked since it had come out that the person who reported that had kind of clickbait stuff. So I don't know necessarily how true that is. But we did get an actual about 1 minute teaser for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And then when Cronin was asked by IGN about the concept of the film and just the overall vibe, he did say it's an insane mashup to suggest, but almost one part poltergeist and one part Seven, but put through my lens and the way that I like to entertain people. So this could get rather interesting. I think the teaser has a very somber tone to it, which, I mean, of course, Lee Cronin, you look at Evil Dead Rise, is going to have that vibe to it. But this is Blumhouse and Atomic Monster. And last time they dabbled into, I guess, what you could call even the universal monster space with Wolfman. That one is very divisive. So maybe we could be looking at another divisive tale with Lee Cronin's The Mummy. What are you guys feeling?
I don't think we're allowed to like these movies, so I'm just there's always something wrong with the Universal monsters, man. Like, I was just really thinking about it, and it's like the fact that truly, I think over the last few years, like maybe the last like decade, because I mean, The Invisible Man has been like the only positively reviewed, positively like word of mouth, like kind of Universal monsters take that we have had in like 2 decades, like maybe since The Mummy. And like arguably maybe The Mummy Returns. I mean, people were sour about Van Helsing. Apparently, I'm finding out. I thought that was actually kind of like liked, but again, I was like 8 when that came out, so it was kind of perfect. But you know, it's one of those things for me, man, where it's just like this series cannot catch a break. It's just like, and I actually think the trailer, getting into that a little bit, doesn't look half bad. It looks like they're really leaning into the Evil Dead ism of this being Lee Cronin, and they're trying to kind of cut the trailer very Evil Dead like. And I don't know if that's necessarily staying true to the tone of what the movie is going to be. I'd like it if it is, but I think that they're just kind of trying to, you know, do their best to prop up what they think might be another miss for the Universal Monsters. Because again, we saw what they did with the Wolfman, where they kept that under wraps. They were afraid of that coming out until someone made the boneheaded decision to have it show at the, what was it, the fright thing, the
I'm forgetting what
Universal Holiday Horror Nights.
Holiday Horror.
Sorry, y'all. But it's just one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, it's like that leaked out, and that just started it off. It's like, come on, man. Like, can we catch a break? Can we just, like, what are they doing? Like, how do we keep letting this happen?
Yeah, I think this one, people may have soured on it so early on right now, especially if that is not true, that those rumors about this being negative test screening, stuff like that, I think people are already going to take that little tidbit and run with it all the way up into that word of mouth gets out that, hey, this could be good. But I think one of the big issues also could be, I don't know, do you think Cronin is setting himself up for failure when you look at it and you take a little blurb like that is it one part Poltergeist, one part Seven, which are two very iconic films in the space. Is it setting expectations too high? Because I looked at the trailer. I don't think it looks half bad. I'm going to go in there without having any sort of negative connotation, because, you know, I was way more positive on Wolfman than a lot of people were. So I'm going to certainly give this one the time of day. I think, especially looking at the trailer the second time and knowing what Cronin said about Seven, I certainly do feel that vibe there. So I'm excited for the storytelling here, and knowing that this isn't, I don't feel like this is going to be a retelling of any sort of iconic Universal monster, probably just the Mummy in name. And we're going to see an expansion on that concept and lore, and Cronin's probably going to make it really his own story. It's just going to be called Lee Cronin's The Mummy. So I'm hoping we're not going to get that expectation that this is going to be really tied in heavily to the Universal monsters of what we've seen in the past, because I think Cronin is looking at this film through his lens and is going to tell us a different story. It already feels rather unique, especially if we're going to use a comparison of the Tom Cruise vehicle of The Mummy there, which was an absolute travesty. Oh my gosh, what a horrible viewing experience.
I always forget we went and saw that in theaters.
That was a horrible day. That was like,
the only thing I can compare to that really is, like, we then went and saw, I think it was the same summer, didn't we go see The Last Night Transformers? Yes, and I fell asleep.
Yeah. Yep. And I think The Mummy, I was at the theater that was like a double feature for me.
We did do a couple of those that year because we had to. Was that the one where we did that, and then the Wes Anderson dog movie? What was that one? Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs. That might have been that day, because I remember. I think that The Mummy was second to that, and I was like, man, this is just not pulling it off. So if we're setting the bar with that low standard, I don't see how Lee Cronin's The Mummy can be that bad.
I hope not. And I mean, that's kind of how we necessarily felt with, like, the Wolfman. I mean, the Wolfman, we had low expectations. I guess we had medium expectations because it was, you know, somebody we liked as a director and everything. It's got some good stuff behind it. But at the same time, you know, we saw the design, and just like everybody else, it was a bit of a turnoff. You know what I mean? It was like, this can't be the final look. And I think it looks better in the movie. In the context of the film, it's nice. It's good. I actually really enjoy that movie, and both Luke and I own it. So it's one of those things where it's like we hold true to that. But it's just like, yeah, it seems like if this is as bad as everybody's saying it is, and I will admit, I heard from, I won't say who just because I don't want to dox who it might be, but somebody we know was telling me that they are friends with somebody who's worked on The Mummy, who actually was on set just doing, like, behind the scenes shit. And they said that they think that the test screening stuff's all bullshit. They're like, we don't know where that came from. We didn't have any test screening. So I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe like any of this at all, because again, people said the Wolfman was going to suck and I liked it. I feel like people made up their mind going into that one before they saw it. But it's one of those where I want there to be actual excitement for one of these properties eventually. Like, we can't just keep going on this losing streak of just every time, oh, it's something behind the scenes, or oh, it's something bad, or it's not going to work. It's like, who do we have to put in charge of this universe to really get these things the credit they deserve? That's really where I'm coming at it more as a fan. It's like, yes, I'll admit, seeing it I have this up here because like seeing it in the theater, I like the trailer. I think it looks good, but I can't get excited about it because I'm just afraid that it's just going to be another false start for this universe.
And I think looking at now, I did a slight research, so I don't want to say I did anything extensive when it comes to those negative test screenings. And it looked like I had mentioned, because I didn't want to go on here and saying, hey, it's all been negative press and stuff like that. It does look like, it seems to be that it was an account that is known for just throwing stuff out there, and most of it ends up being fake anyway. So I think someone was at the test screening, at least allegedly at the test screening, and said that some people were grossed out by a lot of the gore that had taken place. It seemed like there were not a lot of horror fans in the audience, that they were kind of taken aback by how much gore there was in the film. So I know if that's true, hey, I'm all on board.
Yeah, if that's what we're getting, then we are exactly getting the movie he's describing. Like, I mean, 7 is already a pretty disgusting movie. Like, just if you're not used to that kind of stuff, like, I love it. I think Adrian, we've been watching 7 since you're like 15, right? Like, you saw that, right? I'm imagining it played at some point.
Yeah, we were watching through it way back, man.
I know, that was like, that's got to be one.
I think I've probably seen it once. I got to revisit it for sure.
I know there was like a moment in like, it was like our buddy Jeffro, Adrian, and our buddy John. It was like one winter basically of just like having a lot of snow days one year. We just had a bad year. And like, I just like basically force fed these guys just classic movies that I could think of and had in my collection at the time. Because it was like 7, Taxi Driver, all this stuff. We were just going through everything and just like watching all kinds of shit. So I know I got you a slight education on some of that, but there was somebody else on here who said something. Oh, also, we do have a little bit of Wolfman love. I appreciate it. Thank you, Austin.
I think Wolfman was a fun take. It's not it's not a perfect film. No. I think one of the problems is, and I don't know 100%, but I feel like the horror community the Universal monsters are ingrained in everyone's DNA, because that's what you grow up with. You always go back, even if you don't watch them as a kid, you go back as an adult and you appreciate those films from how the foundation they were able to set in creating those iconic monsters that we still see through a modern lens. So I think maybe sometimes that expectation is there that it's going to be the next great film that's going to be built into the DNA of everyone's horror experience. And I never go into those films like that. It's like, I really enjoy The Invisible Man, but I know there are people that didn't really like that take. You know, they try to modernize it, and I think they do that well. But I understand that's not for some people. I can understand Wolfman. I think they did something a little bit different there. I think, you know, you could have called some of the twists and turns in that film, but I don't think it killed it. You know, I think it kept interest in it, and they tried to do something a little bit different than what we normally see with those types of films. So, you know, I don't think it was bad. I understand that people have an issue with it, but I'm not going to go into Lee Cronin's The Mummy and say this has to be the next Universal monster. This has to be something that I'm going to go back and revisit. I think he's got that somberness. I like that he did call out Poltergeist, because as a kid, that was an absolutely terrifying film to me. And it's like, when you go dive into the supernatural, that's a film that I think you have to look at and be like, you really use something like that as a blueprint for tension, for scare. So I'm excited that Lee Cronin is someone that has a track record. Evil Dead Rise was a big win for me, and I think for a lot of people. So I think being able to build that tension, especially when we say if those reports were accurate and there is a lot of gore, I mean, we know he can excel in that space. So it's
we saw it. Yeah. And that's why it's like, that's why I said, like, I don't know if it's necessarily they're tapping into the Evil Dead isms of the trailer, because it feels like that. It's not that far of a departure from that tone, with the high gore, with the intense craziness of like this demonic presence, or if it's just playing on that again to kind of cover the stench of what might be there. Because we've seen that practice time and time again with this same exact series. Like, you know, like they tried to basically pitch like The Mummy with Tom Cruise as like a dark like fantasy sci-fi film, but when it came out they were like, oh, it's more of just an action movie, so let's promote it like a Tom Cruise action movie. And it's like this tone is just completely all over the fucking place. Like, so again, it's just, I, as somebody who loves it, I just want, like, you know, something to be more, I guess, tangible, something to get me excited to say we have a vision here, we can really tie this whole universe together and bring something that like we can actually get behind and be like, well, that's another one and done. Now let's see what the next reboot's going to be. So that's all I'm saying. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like this is a stab we just keep stabbing at and we're not killing anything. I can't stand it. Like, it's just
excellent metaphor.
It's not dying, man. We're not crushing nothing. Like,
I love it.
I think, you know, it's probably going to be a hard sell for a lot of people with what's coming out and reports that are coming out. I'm hoping this one will get some traction with word of mouth, especially if it has a strong weekend coming out of it. I'm hoping for the best. You know, it's like I want a pretty big win in this space here, especially when we don't see, I guess you'd say, a mummy subgenre, if there is one. We don't see that often. And I know with the announcement that supposedly we're getting the Mummy 4 with, you know, the iconic duo coming back. I don't know if that kind of deflated some of the expectation for this one, because I think
it's weird. It is a little bit weird to, like, the timing feels purposeful. You know, it does feel like, oh, we got to do something quick to make up for what this is going to be. You know, it's like, I hate to be such a negative person about this, but it's like, that's just what it feels like.
Yeah, and that's what it's like. There's such a difference in tone, I think, from the franchise of The Mummy and what Lee Cronin's presentation here is, at least from this 1-minute teaser. So it's really kind of almost two different fan bases, two different expectations for films in terms of like the Mummy space. And I'm excited to see this darker take here, because we don't get that often. You know, we don't get a unique film like this. Like Dylan, you said, Tom Cruise, that iteration really felt more action heavy, and it certainly was. It didn't really feel, it had some horror elements, but didn't feel like a true blue horror film. And I never look at The Mummy with Brendan Fraser as a true blue horror film as well. It is more action heavy. It's kind of got some comedy in there and some darker themes, but it doesn't really, it only dabbles, you know, it never really turns the page on that. So I think Lee Cronin is really setting something up that could be really unique. So I'm hoping, I think this one, I think maybe that it could be a little slower, especially when you mentioned something like Seven. I think going into a film like this, and you have the idea of like Wolfman, Invisible Man, things like that, I think Lee Cronin could be telling a much slower story than
I was thinking it looks like it could be more like The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then fuck yeah, like that's going to be terrifying. Like I would love that, but it's like it feels like it could be there, and Seven is a good comparison to that. I mean, it's a really dark story. It actually, only difference is, I guess, spoiler for Autopsy, is it's got some ghosts, but that's like, you know, it's kind of like it's there's more to it than that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did just want to real quick shout out. We have the Merkins in chat. What is going on?
Hey-yo.
Little golf clap for the Merkins.
Excellent.
Yeah, everybody in the horror space should already know, as well as I should mention Nightmare File is also here with us as well. What's going on, Nightmare Files? Yeah, apparently there's a lot of great horror streams tonight, so we appreciate all of you choosing to stay with us. But if you do got to pop around to spread the love, we completely understand. Definitely love seeing all these good folks in here. Yeah, the Merkins, everybody should know the Slash Street Boys. Seriously, like one of the biggest channels on YouTube when it comes to just like parody amazing content. They're doing some great stuff too over on TikTok. I should mention they do these live streams that are absolutely insane. Like the production value is crazy, so go support them. Gotta love them, and they've been a big help and inspiration to us. So
yeah, absolutely. There was I'm forgetting which song it was, but it was starring Leatherface, and it played when we did the Akron Short Film Fest, and I remember watching that and then playing it at home like days later. My daughter, who was very young at the time, just was obsessed with that, like watching Leatherface dance and sing. For some reason, was just she was all about it, which was rather interesting to watch. So we played that on a loop. But yeah, definitely check out the Merkins. There's some really catchy stuff on there that got stuck in your head.
Yes, excellent production on that outro song, my man.
Oh yeah, that's
Gotta give
definitely
respect.
that's one of those things where it just naturally happened too. It's just like it just became the outro thing. It was like as soon as I think we finished that like interview, I immediately got off and like cut the ending off and immediately just made that. I was like, this is too perfect. It's kind of like
Fire.
that missing puzzle piece. You just find it, and it's literally I know I criticize myself. I don't know. I don't think anybody cares that I haven't updated the old back logo with it, but it's just to me, it's just that clip, that outro is so everything that I ever wanted from it. I don't ever think I want to change it. So it's just kind of like it's just one thing that's going to always have the classic logo. So it's like, you know, unless we get sued or whatever, because I don't know, that was just something we made on a free logo maker thing. So, you know,
Said
there
free,
you go.
bro.
I
Yeah.
like having the old logo. You know, it's like kind of like bookend. We have the new logo at the front, old logo in the back. You know,
And I'm sure there's going to be many more as years go on. We'll want to update and change things. So I'm sure we'll have a whole medley of them. It would be great if we did this, and then like if we did this for like 10 years or whatever, like for a 10-year anniversary, it's just like a hoodie or something with like all the logos down the arm
yeah.
that we
That'd
had
be
so far.
dope.
That'd be
I could
sweet.
see it.
Yeah, you know, just loving it. Ah, Austin, you broke my heart. I love 2010. It's I get it though. Actually, if you are a fan of just Wolfman stuff in general, you should at least, if you're not much of a reader, but if you don't mind it, read it. The Wolfman novelization for the 2010 movie is like way better. So like I highly recommend it. They had to add a lot more to it that would have made it such a better movie. There's even more Wolfman stuff in there, so definitely read it. It's like a quick read, and it's also like if you just get the audiobook, I think it's like 6-10 hours or something. Like it's not much, so highly recommend it. Um, da, 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 da. Do with horror or entertainment instead. Aw, dang. Well, hopefully we're not the ones doing that for you. We're real horror people here. So I did see a mention of Temple of Doom. So I do want to know what's up with that because that might be my favorite Indiana Jones. I don't know. I got to keep going with that one.
I have to revisit Indiana Jones. I haven't seen him in ages.
I revisited them before the new one. Just was getting on that hot train for that one. Just
I haven't seen
watched
the new
all of
one.
them. It's all right. I liked it a lot more when I first saw it, but I think it was just the nostalgia for me. I haven't gone back to it, but you know, it's like it's never going to be what it was. But I'm just happy they made one. This chat has good taste with all the Seven enthusiasm. Oh yeah, we love Fincher in this house. We appreciate it.
This is a Fincher
What's
channel.
going on? What's going on? Welcome, welcome. Well, why don't we move into the next story there, Luke? While we're wrapping up on the Mummy here.
Absolutely. Now, did you have a particular way you wanted to go, or just go in order? Because
I'm good with whatever. We're all good.
All right, perfect. Well, as we talk about things that are coming out, it looks like there's something that is put on ice for at least a little bit of time. Yes, Thanksgiving 2 has been delayed, and we don't exactly know when filming's going to take place. It looks like we're running into some scheduling obstacles. Eli Roth told Variety, everybody wants to do it. I'm going to have it locked and loaded, and we'll find a time when we're all available. But right now, nothing is on the docket. I know this Thanksgiving 2 was greenlit, a couple weeks after the initial Thanksgiving because of how much buzz and how much just positive word of mouth that film had. And I know we were excited for Thanksgiving, but I don't even think we could have been that excited for it in terms of how much of a win that film was. It really just kind of checked every box for just nostalgic slasher that we really wanted. It had a lot of comedy, had a lot of horror, and it all just felt like a happy marriage where sometimes that just doesn't work. And it had a lot of great kills, I thought. So I've been eagerly anticipating Thanksgiving too. I'll be honest, this does break my heart a little bit because this has been one of my highly anticipated films since they had announced Thanksgiving 2. I'm excited to see the direction they go, and we get further and further away. What makes me nervous is that we really don't even have a timetable, and that's what's like as we get further away from this and that kind of buzz that the original had. Man, it makes me really, really nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an update that like I'm happy to necessarily hear, but when I said like good updates, it's more just that we heard anything, because like there's a lot of stuff where you know they'll announce it and then like it'll just stay there forever and then we never hear about it and then it's just quietly shuffled away. I will say, speaking to the Dream Eater folks, back when there's an interview up on Patreon for that. that they were saying that, like, and I think this was after they were saying that was a delay because of the movie Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
And they ended up, like, he ended up jumping to that project because they couldn't get everything ready to go for Thanksgiving. So he did that, and then things were kind of starting to look up for it, and then he was busy with that. And now, obviously, now that Ice Cream Man is wrapped up and is about to come out this year, it's like, seems like he's back in the same situation where people he was waiting on are now busy. And it just seems like, yeah,
he missed the window.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems like we're kind of playing cat and mouse here. So I'm hoping that for the most part, we can kind of, at least get some confirmation that this is still very much a priority, because right now that wording doesn't make it sound like it is. And I don't know if it was his production company or if it was like just the thing he's doing to produce stuff, or if it's him exactly doing it. But I saw his name attached to something else that got announced this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Gracie just mentioned it. Is that correct? It's Don't Go in that House.
Yes,
Bitch,
yeah, with Snoop Dogg. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, it looks like, he's got a handful of projects going on. I think this is probably going to be one of those really tedious scheduling conflicts where it's like, we're probably almost everyone's going to have to wipe the slate clean and say, hey, in a year's time, we all have to meet back for Thanksgiving too. I think, the good thing about this is that we're not going to run into this weird Stranger Things feeling where one minute the kids are real young and the next minute they're way older than what we initially seen them as, where these were already grown people. So it's not really going to feel like as much time has passed. So I think you can really just plug them in when you need it. But I think it's probably going to be one of those things where everyone's probably going to have to clear their schedule. Because I think one of the actors is tied into live action Tangled or something like that, if I remember correctly. So I know that's probably going to take a little bit of time to really get that thing done.
Bobby, I know, is on The Pit, which just got announced for season 3. So it's like, and he's one of the major players on that show.
So it's probably going to be one of those things where they're probably going to have to set it in like a year's time or something, say everyone just come back and we can get this done, because I don't think it's going to be an in-depth film. It doesn't take that much in terms of big set pieces and things like that.
You got to think, right? Because he literally left working on Borderlands, and then they brought another guy in to do visual effects because he was shooting Thanksgiving, but he was only shooting Thanksgiving for like 2-3 months or something like that. So it's one of those things where it was hardly any time at all. So they can really pump it out when they need to. But I just hope that, again, it just doesn't get pushed further and further back. Unless it's like, I'd rather at that point him just come out and be honest and just say like, hey, I just don't have an idea, or we're not happy with the ideas. If that's what's holding it up, it's like, I just don't want to keep my hopes up, because again, you're right. Like Thanksgiving, as far as just like slashers go, that to me is the closest we've had to like feeling like it should have come out around the same time as like My Bloody Valentine, like right in the 80s.
Yeah.
It should have been there. I mean, it very much feels like a modern film, of course, but it's one of those things where the character, the setting, the story, it all works. It all just, it really felt like a well-oiled machine, and it's fun. And I get so excited to watch that every Thanksgiving now.
100%. I know Austin in the chat said Thanksgiving was such a love letter to super niche slashers, and I 100% agree. It's like going to the theater to see that. We were lucky enough to see an early screening for that, and sitting in the theater just watching the beats of that film. I mean, I was in awe of, like, very rarely, like, I love Evil Dead Rise, but it didn't give me the feeling that I got when I initially watched Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. It felt more modern. It felt a little bit different, but it feels in line with the Evil Dead franchise. But like Thanksgiving gave me that warm and fuzzies of like, this really does feel like an 80s film that I'm watching in modern time right now. And that's what I love about it. And I was excited to see a sequel. Does it need a sequel? I don't think so, but I just want to live in that space for a little bit longer because it was such a big win. And I have so much faith in Eli Roth as a horror storyteller. So I'm certainly excited for it. But, if it never really pans out, I think obviously Eli Roth is going to stay very busy in the horror space. I'm excited for Ice Cream Man to come out. That is such a like small property, and it was baffling that we were actually going to get something in that space. So I'm excited to see if he doesn't come back to Thanksgiving, what he's going to do, especially getting that buzz for that film and being like, hey, I can tell really great stories like that. Cause it's like, Cabin Fever was fantastic, but it's
Oh yeah.
very particular kind of film. If you don't like gross out films, a general audience might not go see that film. And I think things like Hostel and where we were at in that horror space at the time, I don't know necessarily if people go back and just a general audience would go back and revisit that on a Friday night and order a pizza and just have fun with it. It's like, those are pretty gross out films, but Thanksgiving is a timeless slasher to me where you can just turn that on during a weekend, order a pizza, stay in and just have a lot of fun with it. And I think he showed that he can do that. So I'm curious to see what other opportunities are going to show up for him. And I really want to see what Ice Cream Man holds, So I know he's going to stay busy, but selfishly, I would love to see a Thanksgiving 2 come out.
I know. I can only be so mad at Eli Roth when it's like, yeah, he's going to do something like Ice Cream Man, which from the little bits I heard, it sounds great. It sounds like it's going to be an absolute blast. I know the team behind Dream Eater saw some of it and they said it's absolutely crazy. So like they're super excited for us all to see it. And I know just going back here, I know Nicholas here. Thank you for checking that one out. That's definitely one of my favorite like found footage movies of last year. Definitely one of the creepier movies, got under my skin. And I love the ideas. I don't want to spoil it, but like where that goes, you expect it's just going to be like standard, typical kind of found footagey ghost stuff. And then they do something really wild. And I'm like, oh, this is so much better. I like this. Definitely check it out. It's available on streaming now, I believe. Yep. Gracie even liked it. There we go. So there you go. You got the best ones, the best recommendations you can get right there. I did like this comment though, because I think he would do well with the Gremlins. I think he would do great. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Give him Critters.
I think that would be great. I think Eli Roth as a creative could almost come up with his own offshoot of a Gremlins, a Critters deal. I would love for him to play in those like little creature features or something. To my knowledge, has Eli Roth ever done like a True Blue creature feature, anything like that? I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but I would love to see him, especially with gross out horror like Cabin Fever, Hostel, things like that. I think he could really do some interesting creature features, and I think his comedic timing with something like a Critters, Gremlins, where we just have fun with it, and you can kind of create these fun little things like Munchies or something, where it'd just be a lot of fun, not taken too seriously, but really get out into some of that gross out horror elements. Could be a lot of fun. I would love to see him tackle something like that.
Yeah, it's like just a little monster movie like that would be amazing. Like you said, Critters, even Ghoulies, something like that. Or if he did something of his own, I know it'd be crazy.
He always wants to, like we were talking about Ice Cream Man, wants to uncover a lot of these older properties that we probably would never see the light of day. But I would love to see him do something in that space, especially, because like Gremlins, I think is kind of setting its ways in terms of what audience that's gearing up for the most part, whereas Eli Roth really does love to tell horror stories. So it's like something like Critters, Ghoulies, Munchies, something like that could be a lot of fun.
I want another Blob film by Eli Roth. We are getting one from David Bruckner, right? That's
apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as we know, but there's hardly ever any news on it.
Yeah, I'm like, David Bruckner is definitely somebody I'd love to see do the Blob, but I would like to see a Blob movie. Put it this way, if Eli Roth, honestly, like, he's built up such goodwill, and I don't love all of his movies. Like, there's definitely some stinkers in there, but he's built up such goodwill with me with so many of his movies, from like what Luke said with Cabin Fever. I mean, Thanksgiving is seriously one of my favorite holiday slashers, holiday horror films in general. I am just going to say, like, he could really just attach himself to any kind of niche property, and I'd be pretty excited to see it. I'd be at least interested. Not going to guarantee I'm going to love all of it, but like if he picked up a Killer Clowns, a Critters, something like that, it's like, I'd really think that he would definitely approach it with the best possible, like, I guess you'd say, kid gloves that you could have with that. He understands the community and how precious some of these properties are.
Especially with his, a company is it called Horror Section? The Horror Section?
The Horror Section, yeah.
Where it's like being able to acquire properties like that, even for like, a couple of films or something like that, to kind of nurture creatives, and him overseeing a lot of stuff would be interesting. Because, Eli Roth is certainly about the betterment of the horror space and what we can contribute to it. So it's like for him to be able to acquire the rights to those films that are just way smaller, and we talk about Shudder, Screambox having an outlet for a lot of smaller films, either just going straight to streaming or having that limited run like a Silent Night, Deadly Night did. To be able to do something like that, even if it is for Critters, Ghoulies, something like that, that everyone has really forgotten about for the most part. Hey, Basket Case, I would love to see something
Oh
like
God,
with.
Basket Case would be so good.
It's like I think that is such a forgotten property that it would be so much fun for people. Is when you look at something like Malignant, and it's like I love the storytelling there, and it is such a love letter. I feel to Basket Case, where it's like you could really do something really fun with that. And Eli Roth could get really disgusting and disturbing with it.
Oh yeah, it's like I know it's kind of not fair because he already kind of did that movie, but like him or James Wan, I'd really like to see tackle Basket Case and bring that back. Like that'd be so good. Because like I mean I know not to spoil Malignant, but like it's very coded with Basket Case
Yeah.
like kind of love and stuff there. So just anything of that like kind of gross early 80s, late 70s kind of stuff. Like let's go with that. Yeah, Basket Case, Mama Mayhem knows what's up. And then I was looking at this. I don't know either. I don't because he executive produced it, but that could have just been because he owns the characters. I'm pretty sure
I've never
there was
seen
some
it.
drama about that. I've heard it's terrible, and it's basically a 1-to-1 remake. It's one of
Is
those.
it really?
It's kind of I've heard it's like pretty much just the same movie. But
That's-
I can't attest to that too.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I think it popped up on Netflix or something back when it
Mhm.
had come out, and I was like, I am not watching that because I have such a love for the original, and I was a huge fan of Boy Meets World. So when I knew Ryder Strong was going to be in a horror film, I was like all on board, and had no idea what really Cabin Fever was about. There are so many disturbing scenes in there that I feel still hold up. Like I know everyone talks about the shaving the leg scene, which is
Yeah.
disturbing in its own right, but when the one girl's in the shed and the dog's eating her and she's clearly still alive and he's just like eating her guts, I'm like, that
It gets dark.
makes me
Yeah.
want to gag.
Yeah, it's got some stuff. I do like Dex brought up Clown from 2016. That's not a bad one either. That one's pretty entertaining. I think like it was one of those where I didn't give it its fair shake the first time I watched it because I think we were so inundated with clown shit at the time because that was when those stupid like viral trend of like the killer clowns and everything was going on. Terrifier had come out, and then we had the next year was the remake of it. So it was one of those things where it's like I just don't think I gave it as much love the first time I saw it, but I rewatched it a few years ago, and it's actually not bad. It's very interesting with the whole body horror of this. Because have you guys seen the movie?
I have not. That was one that I think I was I was certainly working at the used media store at the time, and I think I had gotten a bad recommendation on it, and I had owned it digitally, and I still own it digitally, and I never went back and watched that one. So
It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not like the worst thing. It's nice to see that it's one of those where again he has a good eye for somebody who had a fun concept that does feel very grindhousey, very kind of like old school 80s horror. Wishmaster is something I'm actually not too familiar with. It's one of my big blind spots. I've been filling things in the last couple of years. I know Hellraiser was a big one, just like when we first started the podcast, but I do want to get back and check out Wishmaster because so many people speak highly of the series.
Yeah, I think I've seen the first one. It has been a minute since I've seen it. I've never deep dived into the actual franchise itself, but I think it could work. I mean, I think with some alterations to the story, it could be really fun to just play in that space and see what you get. I think, you would probably need a little bit of a unique angle, but I've always loved what's the name of the villain in Wishmaster?
I don't know.
Is it like the Djinn or something like that?
Oh, a Jinn? Yeah.
I was looking it up real quick. But I always loved the design there. And like anything, I guess, that has heavy practical effects like that and a really just intriguing lore behind it, I'm all for. Now, do I think it would be like a big box office general audience people would go to? No, I don't think. I think it would take really heavy word of mouth. But I think if a smaller production company got it, did like a 2-week, limited we're going to the theater for it and then maybe see what lies ahead. I could see that happening and then it finding a life on streaming. That could be a franchise that I could see finding a life exclusively streaming, where it's like we can get some mileage out of it for horror fans because I feel like that is it's so niche for a lot of people. It might be a little bit of a hard sell, but I think you could have a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm. It looks good. I do want to check it out. It is one of my big blind spots, admittedly. So it's going to get there eventually. I just got to find the right time to sit down and get it. Because isn't there like 4 of them?
I think so. I think there's a
handful.
Yeah, there's a handful of them that could come out. I think they're usually streaming everywhere. It seems like because it's such a smaller property. I feel.
Yep. Looks like there's 4 of them. So up to 2002, Wishmaster Prophecy. Oh, Prophecy Fulfilled. My bad.
Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm. But alrighty, yeah. Why don't we move into our next story there, Mr. Luke, sir?
Well, we're talking about sequels, franchises, things like that. Looks like one of our favorite kind of horror hidden gems of 2025 is getting a sequel, which is rather unexpected. It looks like a lot of the cast, as well as director Daniel Del Purgatorio, will be returning for Marshmallow, the sequel, which this one will be set years after the events of the first film. The sequel follows the lingering damage left behind, expanding the mythology while erasing any remaining sense of safety as the consequences finally come due. And I remember watching Marshmallow saying, I would love to see a sequel to this, especially with the way that film leads off. I'm intrigued to see that this is going to be set several years after those events to really see the fallout, because the first one ends with such a bang. And I was like, my gosh, I'd love to see just a couple more scenes into this and see what we get. So I know Marshmallow had a pretty big, interesting twist to it that I didn't see coming. And I really just loved the vibe to it because as we're talking about Thanksgiving, had an 80s feel to it. I think Marshmallow also taps into that DNA as well. I know Gracie just mentioned it feels like a Goosebumps episode. It really does. It feels like Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? And made for maybe some adult themes as well, which is really interesting. So I'm excited to see the sequel. I don't know what lies ahead for it, but I'm really excited that everyone seems to be returning for this one as well.
Oh, Marshmallows. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, comparing it to comparing Marshmallow. Wait, am I reading that correctly? To a Goosebumps episode?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That already hooked me. It got on my
you definitely have to watch it, Adrian.
Yeah, it's one of the, I think we called it in our like top 10 of the year. It's like one of the freshest like kind of takes to like the 80s nostalgia kind of movies that we've had over the last like 5 years or so, last decade really. Ever since Stranger Things, it's kind of like, and I think honestly, coming out of Stranger Things season 5,
people are going to crave that.
Perfect time for people to watch Marshmallow, because it is such a complimentary film to that era, and it doesn't even take place in the 80s, I think, right?
It does not. And
it just feels like it. It just
that's like I had to watch it and be like, is this set back in time? And it's like, no, they have phones and things like that. But I remember watching that film and then specifically going back to be like, is this a period piece or is this modern time? And it is modern time, but they just grab that atmosphere from the 80s, that vibe to it, and it feels like it's such an 80s film, even though it is a modern film.
I would say the last movie to really feel like that was like It Follows, where you couldn't necessarily place where it was because like she had that fucking phone shell. Like, what was that? Like, what is going on? But no, it's like, it's definitely one of those that feels very like, it just feels like it's plucked out of the decade. Like, again, like we talk about, I'd say like Thanksgiving less so. I would actually have to give Marshmallow the edge because it legitimately, like, I had to double take. It's like, I think they're setting this in the 80s, right? It's like, no, they just did a really good job. And it's excellent. It's just a very fun story with, like Luke said, some kind of more darker adult twists towards the end. And I think that they just really brought a unique story that is just something we don't see too often. You know, I think there's an element to this that like you could say is akin to things like Halloween 3 or stuff like that. I know one movie that I'm just gonna be totally upfront in case he sees this, but we're good buds with one of the producers of a film called Test Screening that is supposedly, I will say, getting some traction this year. Supposedly, this is going to be the year of Test Screening. I was in touch, but I don't have anything more than that. I would love to host like a screening with like both those directors and just be like, let's do like a double feature of Marshmallow and Test Screening. Because like they complement each other so well. They feel like they could be set in the same world in some places. Like they are both just excellent movies, and I cannot wait for people to get their hands on them. And I hope more people are going to be checking out Marshmallow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one is certainly a box a lot of horror fans need to check. Yeah, like Gannon just said, it is on Shudder right now, which is definitely make some time to watch that one. I think people will absolutely love it. It's such a hidden gem right now. I'm excited that a smaller film like this is getting a sequel because it was certainly unexpected. I think this would have been on my wish list where it was like things that are never going to happen. But
oh yeah, we had a fun combo about that.
It's like really caught me off guard when this announced. I had to go verify this because I had seen a screen cap of it. And then I had to go actually to the website to be like, I this has to be altered. I can't believe that we're actually going to get a sequel to this.
I know. It just felt like such the little movie that could like literally I found this thing because I was like looking up movies for the month of did it come out in March, I think?
Something like that. It was a random month.
Or
it
April?
wasn't even we weren't like really into the gearing up for any like Halloween or anything like that. It was just a random month that this came out.
It just so happened to be on like the Fandango or no, it was Rotten Tomatoes like calendar. It was just no poster, just that. And then I looked at it and then there was a poster and it was just that. And I'm like, you know what? It looks fine. I just was like, I think I asked for it and then was like, hey, I asked for this. If they get back to us, we'll see how it is. And I just remember both of us just coming down to shoot that review and being like, dude, this was actually fucking great. Like, this was such a surprise. Like, it's such a sweet treat of a movie. It really does scratch a lot of those, like Gracie said, goosebumps, kind of like nostalgic with a little bit of an edge to it. It's not all, like, it's not Terrifier. You're not going to get, like, a ton of gore and a ton of stuff, but you will be a little bit surprised, I think, with just some of the places they go here.
Absolutely. And I like the lore that they set up with the doctor in that. I remember seeing the trailer for this before I ever watched it, and just the visual of the doctor with this cattle prod that is attacking people with it. I thought, what a great aesthetic. And you're absolutely right, where like Thanksgiving, I think Thanksgiving has like the narrative structure of a 80s slasher, but doesn't have the atmosphere because it feels modern. Whereas like Marshmallow has the beats, it has the atmosphere of it where you can get lost and say, oh my gosh, this is an 80s story, but no, it is actually modern time. So they really tap into something fun. And I'm just going to transition into like the last story that we had, because it's such it's a natural topic here where it's like Stream 2's, that's officially a go here. We're getting a little in terms of who's writing. That is going to be, if anyone watches Impractical Jokers, Q from Impractical Jokers, as well as a producer there, is going to be actually turned in a script. Apparently they were on Chris Jericho's podcast Talk Is Jericho, and they mentioned that they just turned in the script there, and they had actually written a part for Chris Jericho as well. So that's going to be interesting to see where that's going to go. I know that was another smaller film that we never expected to get a sequel, but it was greenlit shortly after the first one had come out. Now with the passing of Tony Todd, I don't know what that means, but I'm excited that we look at Marshmallow 2, we're looking at Stream 2, Frogman 2. I mean, we're getting all these smaller films that are getting actual sequels, which 10, 15 years ago, this never would have happened.
It's one of those things for me, man, where it's like I really adore just like the little universe that we're getting of just these little sequels. Like, it really does kind of feel like how the 80s was, where it's like these oddball little franchises came out of nowhere and they're really low budget, and we're just able to get these weird things that get a couple sequels. It really feels like with streaming, we're able to kind of do that again. You know what I mean? Like, we're able to kind of open those doors where we don't have to spend, $20 million a movie. We could make one for $5 million or $3 million. And it's like, and then if it's halfway's decent, if we give a damn about the story and the characters, we can actually keep it going. Like Frogman, there's nothing to it really. I mean, they're literally like, we are making a found footage movie, and now we get to just spend all of our time and preparation on making the effects look great, making the characters great and easy to follow and like. And it's like, they just did it right. And it's like all these movies you mentioned do that right. They literally play to their strengths.
And what I love about all three of these films across the board is that they each come with their own unique spin. They really do. When we talk about like unforgivably horror, I think each film here really does dive into what makes horror great in its own way. Where like Frogman 2 is going to be an interest. They set up that very interesting that ending to Frogman as to what Frogman 2 could look like. Stream, I think, was a really fun concept, and where they leave off with that. Again, with the passing of Tony Todd, I don't know what that's going to look like from a storytelling perspective, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do, because I think the concept there is really fun. You can get a lot of mileage out of it. And then, like I said, with Marshmallow, the way that film ends, I just wanted a couple more minutes to see what the fallout was going to be. So with them jumping a couple of years ahead or years after those events, whatever that timeline is going to be, I think that's certainly going to open up some interesting storytelling. And it's like these little stories, these like little engines that are actually getting sequels, getting mileage out of it. And we're actually having an outlet for that stuff. Like I don't know if Marshmallow got a limited theatrical release at all. I'm assuming it did. I don't know.
So. I think it was, I believe it was a hybrid release.
And I don't think there was anything around where we were. Akron, Ohio, is we didn't really get any in terms of releases, so we never got to go to the theater.
There you go. I was waiting for you to finish your point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Akron area. But yeah, go ahead.
And but if Marshmallow 2, like how we saw with Terrifier 2 and 3 opening up in different areas, being more accessible, I would love to make it to the theater for Marshmallow 2, because I would absolutely support that.
I'd love to as well. I maybe if they're playing it in the, even close by, even if it's just a couple states over, we could go up there. Let's see, Cleveland, Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, Kent area, depending on the day. Yeah, pretty much. Like it's all around.
We make
Northeast.
Around.
We get around depending on where the screening is or what we got to do. But you get it. Yeah, streaming saved Terrifier pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, I think one of the best decisions they made was putting that on something like Tubi, and then just letting people watch it for free and just like getting it out there, because like it just became one of those movies that got passed around by people, especially like even like I don't know if Adrian paid attention to it, but it was one of those things where it's like when that movie came out 2016, like it was the hot topic for like 2 years of just like, oh man, this is that crazy clown movie where they saw that girl in half, and it's like, it lived up to it, and that was great. And then they've crowdfunded too, and then it just rest is history, man.
I always thought that being sawed in half would be like the worst way to die, and then they just kind of did that, and I'm like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Dylan showed me just that scene alone, and I was like, you're gagging. Bro should have been recorded, man. It could have been content.
Hell yeah. Oh, here's Gracie said got popular on Netflix. That's right. I did forget it got on Netflix too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember, and I never watched it on Netflix. It was always
I watched it on Tubi.
I would see every time I turn on Netflix, it seemed like Art the Clown was there, sitting at the table with his like little hands posing, and I was like, I gotta watch this one day, but never got around to it until we were gonna go see Terrifier 2. But I think, having that streaming, and especially where Terrifier 2 had so much buzz coming out around it, but it was a limited theatrical release. You had to go to the theater to see it. And I know some people would go see it, but some people just want to wait for streaming. But being able to know the buzz around Terrifier 2 and then immediately jump on streaming to see the original Terrifier and just to see how gruesome some of those scenes were and kind of get the tone of what Terrifier 2 was going to be, it really helped get that film traction for Terrifier 2 having so much buzz, and then eventually going into Terrifier 3. It's like what a wild time where we talk about there are just streaming services dedicated to horror films. And like it's fantastic to be able to just log on to Shudder or Screenbox and just be able to take your pick of what you want to watch, and the betterment of the horror space because all these films are accessible. Like we were just able to recommend Marshmallow and it's easily accessible. It's not like something where it's like, yeah, we watched it, we got an early screener for it, had theatrical release, limited theatrical release, and now it's just filed away and we have no clue where you can watch it. It's like what an easy recommendation. Just hop on there, boot it up and have a good time with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like it does help. It's one of those I think personally, and it may just be like, cope at this point, but like I've kind of resigned myself to like if I can get a movie made and I get it on a streaming service, like in the modern day, that's pretty damn good. Like I guess, you know what I mean? Like if I could get it sold to like Shudder or Screenbox, it's like that's the goal at this point. At least it'll be watched. And that's how I feel. Cause like you can kind of have it one or the other these days where it's like, yeah, you can get the theatrical release and it can, not perform at the box office because only so many people are going to the theater. Or, I mean, you could just throw it on streaming and who knows, maybe that'll just gain you a fan base and have it and you'll be able to fund more films after that. It's kind of like, it's a different world we live in with it. So
Especially just how people even prefer to stream. It's like we saw Primate, we saw 28 years later the Bone Temple, and it's like how many comments do we get? I'm going to wait for streaming. Now that could be a connotation for the quality of the film, or maybe people didn't like 28 years later and just don't want to go spend the cash for it. But there are so many films out there that it wouldn't have that kind of connotation. Say I might not like it, and people just prefer to wait for streaming. So even that's not even a death knell anymore, where it's like some people just prefer that medium to consume their media is just hop on streaming, enjoy it from the comfort of their own home, which I understand. I think, going to the theater to see some of these films is certainly an interesting experience. Like Primate was was a really fun experience to see in the theater and experience that on the big screen, I think, as well as 28 years later. But I understand it. And I think that is really why some of these films are getting sequels that would have never happened 10 years ago. And I think it's like, my gosh, what a great time for the horror space and creatives in the horror space to be able to just come up with a story and be a Shudder exclusive. That is not a death knell anymore. That's like, oh, just subscribe to Shudder because there's so many different big
stuff.
films on there.
There's a lot of good stuff on there. And that's the thing. Like, and I that's why I've literally been just like simping for Shudder so hard the last couple of years. Cause like, honestly, most of my top 10 films of the year, at least like 3 or 4 of them out of the 10 are Shudder exclusives or were on Shudder or IFC. It's like, they benefit. Like, I feel like we came in at just like, they'd been like really starting to grow like in 2020 and then on. And I feel like we jumped on board at like the perfect time because like the last like 3 years of Shudder has just been incredible. Things like Late Night with the Devil, Good Boy this past year. I mean, Dangerous Animals, Drool of Jenny. It's like there's so much good shit. So it's like they are really one of my favorite, like as far as just like making horror content in the modern day, they are one of my favorite studios working right now. And they acquire some of the best stuff like Dolly coming out soon. Like in the next couple months, when you guys get to see that, I'm excited. I cannot wait to go see that. I hope we can see it in the theater.
Yeah,
Dolly. It's a breeze. It's a breeze, and it's so good.
Dolly is so much fun from just enjoying the horror space because it's not like a light subject matter by any means. But I love just the visuals there, where they take that story and the potential that story has to, if they ever try to take it any further, would be really interesting. So I think that one's great. There's just so many different properties. I know we have a list of things that are going to be coming out throughout the year, and I think some of those are going to be exclusives to Shudder. It's like they always have so many great releases that come out, and so many unexpected releases. I think there were a handful of other ones that I'm told that the titles are escaping me at the moment, but there was a lot of big wins over the last year, and certainly over the last couple of years.
Hellcat was another one.
Yeah, is that even coming out this year?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I'm looking up Dolly right now because I know that was, I think, slated. At least it's supposed to. They didn't give it like a definitive date, but I know it's like I think they're spring of 2026 for Shudder IFC, and I think they're going to put that one in theaters. So it's one of their bigger ones. Let me see. Oh, it's Dolly Parton 2025. No, kidding.
Oh, there we are.
Okay, but yeah, there was a couple things in there while I'm looking this up. Let's see. I want to go see these films, but they don't play anywhere near me, and I see spoilers, and I don't want to watch them anymore. It's just released everywhere, and it's once
Toxic
distributed.
cycle.
Jeez. I know Necro has always been very picky about trailers, but I respect it. I honestly do, because I'm getting that way. Like, I think just because we live in the space so much, like, I think I said it during our spoilers for 28 years. I was just like, dude, I don't need a trailer for like this or the next one. I don't need it. I'm gonna be there. Just tell me when it's showing, and I'll go. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, there's certain movies that I just like. The Odyssey, I wouldn't need to see a trailer for it. I know I want to go see it. It's Christopher Nolan. Don't even tell me the cast is. I'll just go.
Odyssey
I don't
looks
care.
so good, dude.
Yep. That's like, there's just certain films, certain filmmakers that I don't like it. Like, especially one of my things that I really want to do when we eventually get to go to, like, you know, Fantasia and Fantastic Fest in person is like, I just want to like go in and just blind watch some stuff, just like get completely either like upset or completely blown away by things. Cause like, that's one of the things that I love is like, you just kind of get to go there, and it's like, it's so hectic. You just kind of gotta hope that you can line into a screening and just kind of pick your poison. So I'm hoping that we can do that one day, because I know those are some of my favorites when we just get to watch something like a Dolly or a Marshmallow. It's like, just there's no buzz about it, and then it's like you watch it and you're like, holy shit, this can be great. And then people see it, and it's like, and now it's super fun. And I think Dolly is just like gonna hit that. It's like and I don't want to like overhype it, but it's one of those things where it's like, I think I said it feels very much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like a love letter to that in a lot of ways, in some of the performance aspects. And it's just a very good bare bones basic slasher, and I love the ideas.
Yeah, and that's what it's like. Certainly in the atmosphere and tone, it's like, don't expect it to be like as iconic as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't go in with that lens, but it is like one of those films you certainly get the vibe. You know that they're paying tribute to it, and it really does encapsulate it in all the best ways. It's one of the closest films that I can compare to that film, because so many. We watched another one this past year that I can't remember. Was it 1970? I can't remember what it was called. Brute something. It was just a huge miss, because you could tell that they were inspired by it, but it never really went anywhere. It just, you felt underwhelmed throughout the duration of that film. And it's like Dolly was a great rebound to say, oh my gosh, this is what I want. When you ever talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dolly does tap into that DNA. And when we're talking about releases that are like to Shudder and everything, the unexpected release for me was at the end of the year that ended up on my best of, was Best Wishes to All, which is a Japanese horror film, and that was on Shudder.
They are so good at acquiring Japanese and Korean horror.
Yeah,
it's like, because they did Exuma last year or year before last, they acquired that one. So it's like, yeah, they got a really good eye for like great foreign horror.
And that's what it's like. I think that they can, you know, I don't think people are, especially if you're not into foreign horror, that you're not going to go to the theater to check that stuff out typically. But it's like, you will turn it on in your streaming service just to give it a watch to see if it might be your cup of tea or not. And I think people can find a love for more foreign horror through something like Shudder, because, you know, you're not at the theater, you're at the comfort of your own home, and you can just read subtitles at your leisure and really kind of get into the groove of it if it's one of your first times seeing it, you know. So it's like, I think you can really find a love for that stuff, because they really do have a lot of great foreign horror on there. And it's like, I was already a fan before getting Shudder, but then just being able to log in, watch all the foreign horror, like you said, South Korean as well as Japanese horror on there, is just top-notch stuff.
They do some good shit. They really got a good eye over there. Like, I love that the team, whoever is in charge of acquiring films, like they got their hands on.
They know what we're looking for.
We're looking for. I mean, seriously, there's so many. I could talk for hours. Anyway, Gracie, what movie is this? I want to know. You have my attention. And then I do want to shout out Nate from the Cosmos. Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. We appreciate you staying up with us a little bit. And even if you can't catch the whole show, the rest will be there for you in the morning. I love that, because Luke and I talk about it sometimes. That was the intent of this show all the time, was just to do a Sunday show, that would come out on Sundays, but more or less be so people could either watch it just pre-gaming Monday or just for Monday morning. So that's where the title comes from. So it's like, there you go. No other choice. Absolutely. I am dying to see that. I want to go see it
Same.
so bad. I don't know. It should be playing near us here soon, if not this upcoming weekend.
Yeah,
It's
I would
like-
assume so. I think it's should be hitting more theaters, I think, especially with how positive everyone's saying it's like best film of 2025. I think it's gonna start getting into a lot of different theaters.
Oh, it's playing now. Tinseltown. Shit. Might have to find a morning this week to go.
Yeah, I'd be
If
down.
it's at Tinseltown, yeah, maybe we'll go sometime this week. But because I do want to check that one out real bad. That's that
my
one.
girl and I want to as well.
Cool. Yeah, I was just making sure. I was going to remind you. I showed Adrian the trailer when I went to visit him. I was like, yeah, it's oh, dude, Gracie saw it. She said it was great. Hell yes, I'm happy.
Good to know. Good to hear.
I trust Gracie's opinion on these kinds of films. We align very much on that stuff. Oh, this is it. Okay. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. We'll have to look into that one, Luke. I'm curious.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this one at all.
Yeah, neither have I. It's not one that I thought maybe it would spark something when I saw the title, but I was just, nope.
I'm putting it on my watch list.
But hey, we know Gracie's real good at keeping her ear and eyes to the stars and the ground to find all the good shit. We all fun. I'm just trying to be positive, people. I don't know. Sorry, I hit the wall. But we have to switch gears now, folks, because we got to get this done. Adrian failed us last week. Okay, he was
sorry,
bad boy,
but I did not fail you this weekend.
He did not. No. So we are going to be now transitioning into the second half of the show here, where we're going to be talking the Scream review series. I know some of you guys have been excited for this one. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely had fun revisiting Scream 2. I have some things to say this time around that I'm a little surprised I'm going to say, but I think that this is definitely going to be one of the more controversial series as we go along. But I can say, at least for a while, at least I guess this one, maybe in the next one, I don't know how few people feel about 3, how passionate they are. We're in the safe zone. Now, Adrian, hit us with your thoughts on Scream 1. You have the floor. The full floor is yours, just because obviously we went into overdrive, gave our thoughts on the film last week. I want to hear it. Raw thoughts, Scream, let's go. Because this is also, I should mention, his very first time watching it.
Yes. Okay, so, man, I loved the first Scream movie. It just had everything for me. I don't think there was a single moment that I wasn't entertained. The cast, they were just being themselves. Matthew Lillard's character was great. I love the group dynamic. The mystery aspect had me kind of just constantly trying to figure out, okay, they're heavily implying that the killer's among them. So, like, who is it, And that's actually something I really enjoyed in Scream 2. But anyway, going back to the first one, the beginning, y'all were talking about cold opens last episode. I get it, man. This was a great opening scene in the movie. I mean, it's been referenced on so many Watch Mojo films, but yeah, it was great. I love how the popcorn bag was like a metaphor for building tension. And I mean, there's just a lot to kind of just enjoy in what I was seeing. I watched that one yesterday and the second one today, so the second one's fresher in my mind. But I wanted to say that, I'm glad that we stick with kind of like the main cast throughout like the oncoming 2 films from Scream 1. But yeah, dude, where do I even continue at, man? The whole thing with like the plot twists at the end where like her dad wasn't actually gone the whole time and it was actually the psychotic looking boyfriend and stuff like that. So cool, dude. I don't know. I might have to give it like a 10 out of 10 or something. It's just iconic. I can't hear you, Dylan, if you're saying something.
I was like, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear you liked it so much. Because, yeah, it's definitely one of those ones, like we said last week. It reinvented the wheel a little bit for horror, where it was really spinning its tires. They really kind of came in and slapped some new rubbers on that one. It was good.
Yeah. I like how they revealed like they were using a voice modulator at the end. It was actually multiple people, I try to tune out as much of the spoiler talk from last episode, so a lot of that was like fresh to me still.
So did you
enjoyed.
know who the killers were basically when you sat down, or was that something you were able to kind of surprise yourself with? Because I know with not knowing the context and maybe us just kind of talking the random bits, it may not have all clicked right away.
The thing, so yeah, I tried to tune you guys out. The thing that did stick with me was that Luke was saying, it's basically just dudes killing their friends. And so when I saw those scenes of them all together, I was like, which one is it? I was pretty sure one of y'all said Matthew Lillard at some point. Mm-hmm. So like he was sus, man. But as the film went along, they made me feel like it could have been this character or that character. The kid.
Did Billy's death throw you off at all? Since that was the first time you had watched it, and it was like, oh no, he died, so it couldn't have been him. And then he shows up.
100%. He was one of my prime suspects, and when they killed him, I was like, wow, who could it be?
I like to hear that still works enough for people who are coming fresh to it, because it's like that's a big moment when you first watch the movie. It's like they really do a good job of just subverting you going either way. It's just like you don't know where exactly it's going to land. I know for a while there, I think the first time I watched it, I was just expecting it to be like her dad or something, because like he was just there for a couple of brief scenes and he's gone. And I was just like, oh, it's got to be this. But it was, it's still one of those things. I think they always, no matter what you do with it, it'll always still be one of those where when you sit down and watch it, even if you've seen it 100 times, I still think you recognize the freshness and the feeling of Scream and just being like, this is the one that started the 90s slasher trend. This is what every 90s, early 2000s slasher movie was trying to live up to. And it's like, you just feel it clear as day. It's kind of like watching, like you watch Halloween and it's like, okay, now I get what every single, slasher from the late 70s up to the early 80s was trying to emulate here. It's like, you just see it. It shocks the system. And it's like, you can never take that away from it.
I was like, man, they're making a lot of awesome references. And I'm like, wait a minute, everybody else is referencing it.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Splattercast guys, there's another YouTuber named Nick in Dayton, Ohio called Lost River Drive-In, only talks horror. Yeah, I'm I don't know if you are, Luke. I'm familiar with Lost River Drive-In. I've actually seen some of his stuff. We were supposed to, I think, I think at one point we were going to do like some kind of a collaboration with like Evan and them, but I don't know if that didn't materialize. But I'm aware of him. I'm a fan of his channel. If he's a fan, we'd love to have him on eventually. I might reach out because I definitely think he's got some fun stuff. I really like his stuff. Let's see. Overlooked funny Matthew Lillard movie. Yeah, no, I've seen. I went on like a binge of his movies for a while, and I remember watching a couple of those. The one that still eludes me is this one right here. Still have not seen SLC Punk. I've heard a lot of great things. Ago.
We had a friend who was like obsessed with it for the summer.
Josh. A lot of people get obsessed with that film. It's a good film. It's really an intriguing story, I guess. I remember watching it randomly one day because it was so highly talked about, and it certainly does hold up.
Yeah, we got a few Ohio boys out here. I'm starting to realize, it's
quite the community here in Ohio.
We're lucky. We got a lot of people. Yeah, it's like between this, we got Brandon. I like Scary. We got all that. We got Jake. It's like it's getting fun. We might have to. I don't know. Might have to collab on something sometime in the future. It'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Who knows? Devin Sawa was an SL. Oh, was he really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now you got me. And then Nightmare Files from Cleveland. There we go. Hell yeah. See, there we go. I remember him saying that. That's right. So lots of Ohio boys, but I think that's great. So I love to hear it. Scream 1 was a success for you then.
Oh, absolutely.
Great. Awesome. So I think we're all on the same page with that one. Now, I'm actually going to transition over to Luke here for Scream 2, just because I remember, I think it was it just before we started the podcast, right when we were gearing up for Scream 5, that I really sat down and gave these like a real reappraisal, because they were all on your Vudu, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I spent because I remember we were snowed in, and I think I spent like 2 days watching all the Scream movies on Luke's account and just like giving him my thoughts and feelings in preparation for 5. And that was the last time I really went through and watched the whole series. So this one was fresh for me. But I remember Luke saying, you were pretty high on 2 for a while there. You used to say that one was one of your favorites, if I remember correctly. Or am I getting that twisted?
I think okay. So our discussion, and I remember this vividly. We were talking about the Mount Rushmore of horror. And I don't know if it was for by admission only or one of the early Spidercast things. And you were very like underwhelmed by Scream. And I was surprised that you didn't have a real positive take on the narrative of the original Scream. And that was really where the discussion had happened, because I was like, really, you didn't really like it? And it was one of those things where you never went back and rewatched them. I don't think. I think you had seen them once or twice.
What I can say for that is I was probably burnt out on Scream, just because like the first movie, I remember liking it the first time I saw it and enjoying it, but it was like I think like I had just gotten very like cynical about just it being kind of a traditional slasher, and I remember not loving the sequels very much. Even at the time, I thought like 4 I had kind of soured on and just assumed that it wasn't as good. But I think I was honestly just being a jaded, 20 something about those, because I really think like if that's really where I was sitting with it, then I think I was snorting crazy pills or something, dude. I'm just like, at least for the first film, I can say that like that. Don't disregard that, erase that from your memory. I don't believe that was an alien. That was a lizard person. All right.
I see.
But no, I think like that's really where it came down to, is I was never a fan of the sequels. So I just kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's stacked up as far as just like Mount Rushmore of horror, because there wasn't like a single sequel I remember being like in love with at the time. So
I got you. Yeah. So now you've seen Scream 2, more recent. Are you saying, what was your little tease there you said earlier on?
So where I'm sitting at is I remember watching Scream 2 when we were snowed in doing that, and just being a bit like, man, everybody loves this movie. Everybody says it's the second best Scream movie. And I just remember kind of being a bit turned off by it. And I went into this one, again, with kind of lower expectations. And I just don't know why, but this one just worked for me so much more. I don't know if I'm just a little less cynical, a little less jaded about it, but I really appreciated the cast in this one a lot. Like, even though Jerry O'Connell's not in it a ton, I thought that he was a good misdirect. I actually don't hate the idea of Billy Loomis's mom being the killer as much, or one of them. I don't hate that as much as I did the first time, because I remember that being like the real big turnoff for me. It didn't feel very fresh. But in the scheme of things at the time, like putting myself in when the movie came out, it's like, yeah, I guess it could be a fun little nod and turn back to it. I don't know. I just feel like this time around I was a bit more open-minded about it. And I got to say, I would probably rate this one higher than I did before. I would put this above. I think I'd put this right neck and neck with 4 for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got to interject here and say I felt like Scream 2 was like a good sequel, but the ending was like the sourest part for me, I think. Now, it was a really cool ending visually and kind of like what they were doing. It was really goofy and I dug it, but I was like, they just kept on kind of like memeing on themselves with like the death fake outs and like the plot twists and stuff. You know what I mean? That's just how I felt. Plus, the college setting was like a little dry for me personally. It just kind of felt like American Pie, but like horror slightly. Maybe I'm being too critical.
And see, like, I think that's where I felt like I was feeling that way too when I first saw it. Like, it just felt like very derivative of a bunch of other things we saw. But this time around, I just kind of focused more on just like the essence of, like setting this in a college city or like a college town. Like, that's a great setting for a Scream movie. I mean, we saw it a little bit with a little bit with Scream 6 because they were in college, but they were in New York. Obviously, it's a different setting, different situation. But it's like, I think that that's still very cool because you have all of that co-ed mingling, all of this, like, people are kind of forced to be out and about just the way the setting is and stuff. And where I think that plays its best, the best scene for all the setting that I think justifies it completely is a scene I did not like the first time I saw it, but I've accepted it. And that is it's Randy's death, right? That was his name.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Randy.
Randy.
Yep.
Randy Meeks.
I know. I keep wanting to call him by the actor's name, but it's Randy. When Randy gets pulled into the van, what a savage fucking kill that is! Oh my god, like it just hurts every time. Yeah, they just like showing him like with because he's on the camera, right? They just show it all like getting sliced up.
They open up the van and he's laying there all bloody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that type of stuff you think they would shy away from. You know, I think, you know, having such an iconic character like that from the original cast. And I know you had said maybe one of the things you were lukewarm on your initial watch was that it felt a little derivative of what we had seen in the past. And I think when you look at Scream 2 and coming from Scream and them being so meta with it, I think the fun of Scream 2 is throwing you in such a derivative atmosphere that we've seen, the setting that we've seen time and time again, and playing with how meta it can be, where it's like, Sydney has a boyfriend again, so obviously it would be such
He's
an
gonna
easy,
be the number one
yeah.
suspect.
It's like, of course,
Yeah.
it's gonna be. Let's cast Jerry O'Connell. We're not casting a no name. We're casting a name. So it's like you're always gonna have that, just like Laurie Metcalf, coming from Roseanne at the time. You're gonna look at her and say she can't be just this small role here. There's got to be something more to this, and I think that's what you look at Jerry O'Connell as well. Just with that casting, you're like, there's got to be something here. There's got to be some deeper storytelling. So, and I think that's the beauty of the film, is they were really aware of what they were doing and trying to keep the audience on their toes, because the first film is so iconic, and they want you to recreate that, but at some point it's going to become like M. Night Shyamalan, where it's like, okay, here we go again, trying to recreate the magic of Sixth Sense or Signs, whatever.
The only time other than the reveal that I feel like they're really playing on that first film in the sense of like trying to recreate something, I actually kind of enjoyed, is the opening with the cold open with the Scream 2, or no, it's oh god, what's the
Stab?
Yeah, with the Stab premiere. Like, I think that's a lot of fun. Again, it's like they're really playing with it. I thought that, you know, I cannot unfortunately watch the part in the stall with Omar Epps without thinking of a dick going in his ear. You know, so it's like, that's,
oh my God,
I can't, yeah, it's one of those where it's like I can't not think of Scary Movie, but like, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I really think like this time around, again, that's another moment where I'm like in containment, in sitting here not being as jaded, just kind of going with it. I do find this scene being a very impactful, very fun opening. I think it's probably the second best in the whole series, because I'll admit, even though I'm a fan of 4, I'm not crazy about the fake outs. So we'll get there though. We'll get there.
Yeah, that beginning of Scream 2 was cool. I really liked how she kind of crawled up, like, and became kind of part of the movie, if you will. Man, I also wanted to
blurring
say
that line between reality and them just all fucking around. It's good.
Dude, in Scream 1, they broke the fourth wall. Like, not really, but like they made like a couple references, breaking the fourth wall in it. I can't really think of any that come to mind, but I did want to highlight some of my favorite kills from that one. I really liked Tatum's death. One, I thought she was kind of a cool character. I dug her supportive, like, you know, role for Sydney, and having her get like, you know, I don't even know what happened to her in that garage door, dude. I don't know if it was a decapitation or if, like, you know, it was like partially like her head was lodged off of her body or contorted. I don't know. It looked freaky though. I like that. I mean, that's probably my best one from Scream 1. In Scream 2, it's a tie for me between the scene where one of the detective guys, he gets his head like stabbed through with like one of them, was it like a pipe or something like that?
In Scream 1?
In Scream 2.
Oh, yeah. The God, what is it? It is a pipe, isn't it? It's like a rebarb.
Yeah. That was nasty. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think also I do, even though I think that his performance is a bit over the top, I had a lot more fun with the other killer, Timothy Olyphant. There we go. I was gonna say Mickey, but I'm like, yeah, Timothy Olyphant's character. I thought was so over the top in this, but like I do kind of, think it is a good bit of fun when by the end he is kind of playing the slapsticky kind of like stupid partner or whatever, or like he's just really susceptible again, playing into the whole like he finds the whole like crazy killer aspect of the first movie attractive. And I mean, we see that played out time and time again as the movies go on, where it's like people are just inspired by previous killers and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think, to circle back really quick to the cold open, what I like about that in comparison to the first film is that, the first film is complete isolation. She's out there popping popcorn in for a movie night. Whereas the sequel, and where I think the terror is a little bit different, is that it's a completely public setting, where it's like that terror can happen there. And it's like, that's always a thought in my head in terms of going to the theater and being like, oh, remember that the opening to Scream 2? It's so iconic, but in a different way because it's a public setting, but in a way she feels isolated because we don't know what's real, what's theatrics until she's actually dead on the stage there, and I love that aspect of it because it's Kevin Williamson thinking outside of the box and saying, how do I one up myself? How do I make this feel different? Because I know I have an expectation from the cold open to the first one to make it feel the same, but also make it feel different enough that people are going to appreciate it. And that's what I like about the opening to that one, especially it just has such an aesthetic to it where they're in the dark theater, it's stabbed, they have the green knives, I think that is such a great feel to it. I think that my issue with Scream 2 has always been the reveal. It's like, Dylan, I agree, Timothy Olyphant is a little bit over the top for me, especially knowing his career now and what he's capable of doing. It really does seem like he's overplaying a little bit, like when he's doing the what does it say, Billy's mother, and then I can remember what he says after that, and it's like, oh man, that's a choice in terms of your delivery. I love Timothy Olyphant, but it does seem like sometimes he's trying a little bit harder. And I remember even being a kid and watching Scream 2 and being like, oh, it's Billy's mother, huh?
Yeah,
like that was just kind of like, I love Laurie Metcalf, but it was just like, again, it's a safe bet, but at the same time, it's always hard to knock him for it because it's like, I feel like Kevin Williamson is being intentionally derivative of things that we had seen in the past because it's a Scream film.
It's very Friday the 13th. Yeah, going straight for mommy again. It's just making her the killer. But I don't hate it. It's one of those things where it's like I think that like this time around I was a little bit more accepting to it, maybe because it's Laurie Metcalf and I was, again, being very open-minded and stuff. And I do just want to just kind of take it at face value and enjoy what I like about it. Because I think one of the reasons I have this approach here is because like knowing really where we sit with Scream 5 and 6, and again, me really crossing my fingers here, hoping that 7 is something of note. I just got to say, like, I got to look back and say, like, what we have and really try to appreciate when things were simpler, when things weren't trying to be as derivative as they are now, where it's like we are just redoing the same thing over and over again. It's like, at least I can enjoy it the first time they do it. And one thing I will say that still annoys me that I don't necessarily like is, like, they turn fucking Cotton Weary into such a joke in this movie with the constant, I want the Dane. What is it? Who is it? The famous interview.
Diane
Sawyer interview. All this, like, all the way to the end. Like, I get a little bit of a grin and a laugh out of it, but it's just kind of like he's just chasing her about that damn interview the whole time, and it's like he was only in there for a couple seconds in the first one, but it's like I think like I like what they do with him in 3, admittedly, but I think like it's just too much for me at times in this one.
He was a goofy character, man. I thought he was going to be the killer at the end of Scream 2, just because of that psychotic moment.
I think that's the only reason he's there is just to be a red herring. So it's like,
Now that you said that, I think you're 100% right. So yeah.
Yeah, and like the Cotton Weary character for me, I think he is there just to add another suspect to the list, but excuse me. I never really had an issue with his motivation, I guess, because when I look at it, it's like he didn't do it. He was wrongly accused, but the connotation for him and his reputation, if he tries to do anything ever, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you're that guy that was in prison for a year for such and such. So it's like he's probably trying to get as much mileage out of what he can do in terms of an interview and clear his name. So it's like when he was wrongly accused of something he didn't do, had no association with, and the girl who did it will not sit down to clear your name. I can see him kind of just badgering her. And I love that, I never take his entertaining Billy's mother's offer at the end, where it's like I feel like he's just playing the card so to try and get a good shot because he's immediately looking at her. So it's like I never had an issue with it. I do kind of like his arc of coming back around and them saying, "Oh yeah, he's kind of the hero this time around," and Billy did save everyone. I think that
I did love that.
I like that part of it, and that's why I said like
such a good
that ending bit is fine. That's why I said I grinned and I chuckle a little bit, but like it just seems like, again, we're just putting him. It felt very convenient that he's just also running around the college along with every other motherfucker in this story. It just feels like we had to have him there to add plausible deniability to other characters. So it's kind of like,
and that's what I'm saying, where it's like it's hard to be critical of Scream 2 because it feels like Kevin Williamson is intentionally being derivative of things, and it's like, okay, we're gonna place Cotton Weary in here just to do it and make him a suspect, and he intentionally knows what he's doing rather than a weakness. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I feel like he's intentionally being derivative and very meta about what we're going to be seeing throughout the film.
I would agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment because it does feel like he is trying to play a little bit more into what we would technically expect. But again, I think it only gets undercut as I guess mediocrity or a little bit more mediocre because as we go further along, especially once you get into 5 and 6, it's like, oh, we're just literally retreading things like again, like it and I know that's not anything against him, he can't control that, but it is one of those things where it's just like it just stuck out a little bit more, I think, last time. But this time I can say with a full heart that I think that Scream 2 is never going to live up to the heights of Scream 1, never was going to, never should. But it's one of those things to me where I can sit back and at least say I enjoy Scream 2. And I have some fun moments with it. It has a really like a banger of a kill for Randy, even though it breaks my heart. But it is one of those things where I think that this movie still has some great stuff in it. And I think I will go forth and enjoy it a little bit more now and be a little bit less jaded about it.
I was sad to see Randy go, man, especially knowing that like we're continuing on with this like same group of characters in the next film. Gonna miss him being around,
And I like when you watch that, and it's like at the very beginning when we're introduced to Randy in school, and Sydney shows up about the killing that had happened, and they're like, "Well, what would you change about it?" And he goes, "The nerd gets the girl," or whatever. And it's like, I love that line because you're looking at it like, is Scream gonna actually do that? Because it's like I could see it trying to break the mold and doing something different, only for him to abruptly be killed shortly after that in a merciless manner. It was like, oh, they're really playing with your emotions here. They do the old bait and switch where it's like, oh, maybe Randy's really going to make this out, and they kind of lay the seeds of that, and then it's like, nope, he's dead. We're moving on to the next thing, and it really does open up that aspect of everything's on the table. We're not going to hold anything back. We're not saving people for a third installment. We're going to murder some people here. So be on your toes.
Absolutely. I did just want to shout out Mr. Boone here, spreading some love. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it, man. Thank you. You've been here with us for a long time, and we appreciate it, brother. And absolutely. There you go, bottom guy.
I would be down.
Definitely. I love whenever you can pop in and chat with us there, sir. You're definitely one of the gang, one of the crew. We got Paul in here as well saying I love Scream 2. And I think that's one of the things too that like I really went into, I think the first time I revisited this saying like I think I put way too much hype on this movie as like everybody says this is just as good as Scream 1 and all this, or like it's the favorite sequel, I guess is what I said. And when I watched I was just like, I don't think it's my favorite. I think it's a little bit too drip, but like, as we get into coming back around, really reappraising things again, I think having a little bit more of a recent take, I guess, with these movies and not waiting 10 years between watches helps as well. So I'm definitely a little bit more positive here. So maybe 3 next week will surprise us all, because admittedly that was my least favorite for a long time. So We'll see.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up before we leave this topic completely is the return of Dewey, which we all absolutely
Yep.
love, and I love the interaction between Randy and Dewey where they're going through the suspects, and he's like, "Well, what about you?" And he's like, "Well, if I'm a suspect, then you are too." And then Dewey kind of just pauses and he goes, "Yeah, let's move on." And it's like the interactions those two have, and the way David Arquette was able to portray that Dewey character, even though he doesn't get a
I
ton
love
of screen
Dewey.
time in Scream 2, it's like he's such an iconic character. He's fantastic.
I was gonna say, like,
presentation is great.
I think going forward, it should just be like a prerequisite that we're like, Dewey is perfect in all these movies.
Yeah.
Like him, I love
He's a
him
good
and
guy.
Gale. I really like him and Gale in this one too, especially when you think he dies.
Yeah.
It's like that was a big
That
one
was-
for me.
that
I was
was
so
great.
confused the first time I saw this. I was like, what the fuck?
It's so funny how he just keeps crawling out like barely alive, man. And you know, if any of y'all have seen Archer, it reminds me of that one dude in The Office that keeps accidentally getting hit with strays, and yet he survives until
Exactly.
season 6.
And it's like I think people kind of but they mess around on that a lot where they're just like, oh, it's like Scream. They're always like they're always killing their characters or putting their characters within an inch of losing their lives. And it's like, you know, I think like, yeah, but I think it really didn't get annoying until the newer ones kind of kept it going, which I get.
Yeah.
They're gonna do, but for me, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I really think it does work for Dewey's character, because at the end of the day, say what you will, throughout every single one of these movies, he is on the right side with this. Like, he is one of our main who's always like figuring things out. Like, they wouldn't get through this without, like, you need to have the three of them, at least in the first three movies. You need to have, you know, Gale, Sidney, and Dewey. Like, they're the ones that always figure it out. So
Yeah, he always seems like a very big team player where it's like, when you see him right at the beginning, he just is kind of oblivious, doesn't really know what's going on, but he always comes through. And it's like, to see where he's at in the later films, we'll get into that, you know, as we get down into those installments, was I liked where that arc was, and it's like I like just his character in general. I think David Arquette brings such a wholesomeness to that character and the charisma, that subtle charisma that he has, that you just absolutely love him every time he's on screen. It's like I could not imagine anyone else being Dewey and bringing that presentation to him, because even when he has a lesser screen time, he absolutely makes it count, especially when he's almost dying and then coming out of the trenches like that. It's like I love when he's wheeled out of the building in Scream 2 and he's still on the stretcher and everything like that. It's like, oh my gosh, he did it again. It's like that sigh of relief, because when they do that fake out, and I love that Gale on one side of the glass, him on the other side of the glass, and he's just bleeding, and she just can't even do anything at the time. She just has to watch. It's like, I love that presentation.
Yeah.
That fake out is great.
Yeah, there was some real tragic shots in this. You know, the dude losing his life in the bathroom, girl dying up on the movie screen, for one. Randy getting stabbed out in the van, that scene, that moment with, you know, the glass window. It's just a lot of deeper cuts here.
it is tough to like consider the fact that they do have to turn it up a little bit, especially when you go back to watching Scream 1 and you just see like the opening kills of the movie, dude, are like so brutal in Scream 1. Like you literally see her boyfriend's intestines fall out. Like, it's not like they're really shying away. So the fact that they're thinking they have to do it up, like I think that's one of the things that like I really understand why. Like, I was so upset when Randy died the first time, because it is brutal. Like, when you see the aftermath, they don't shy away from it, and I will give them that. Like, the earlier Scream movies were really good about like when people die, they die hard. Like, that sucks. Like, this stuff.
John McClane.
Die hard. There we go. Oh yeah, I love it. My first breakout video got me demonetized. Been there. Yeah, that's the first video I thought that I was ever going to get 1 million views on got demonetized like after it hit 150K in like a day or two. And it was like, oh hell yeah, it's like we're finally going up, we're doing it. And then they just hit you with that, and it's amazing how everything just stops. Like, it all just stops. It's crazy. Yeah, speaking of YouTube, just saying, I will say it again, if anybody is new or is just coming in here who just saw my latest video, I apologize again for the Boogie Nights segment being so fucked up. It is just what I had to do. I've uploaded that every which way. It was not until I put "this is fair use" lightly on the screen that it was like everything is fine. It's like, I don't know. I had no sound in there at one point, and it's like still just catching it for the visual. And it's like they never catch it for visuals. It's always audio, and it's like they just got it for visuals. I don't know what it was. So apologize for that.
That's always a fun time. I had a couple obstacles with my Possessor video, or my cold opens with featuring Possessor. That was a big one for me, and I remember trial and error. I stayed up all night trying to get that one out, and I was like, I still had to lose some clips because it still was not going through, and I was like, nah, fuck it. And then I was able to get it. It was a copy where I was like, I'm just gonna try something here. I don't think it's gonna work, but let me just upload this because I'm gonna call it a morning by that time, and it was the one that went through. I was like, okay, I'm going to bed now.
Yeah, it's still one of those things where it's like I think like we were doing fine. I think for a while it felt like we found a good system, and then like it seems like right after the holidays, the last couple of videos we've tried to upload, like they've just been aggressive to us with that. But it's only our list videos.
Yeah,
our reviews with like newer movie footage, surprisingly, nothing. It's like, and I know we don't do a lot of audio and stuff with those. We don't use a ton of clips, but like I'm a little confused. It's like we had things going so well, and then YouTube had to go and fuck it up.
They got us. They came a calling.
Yes, they did. They always do. But I thought there was one other thing I wanted to touch on here. Someone had brought up in chat before we go to signing off here tonight. Nope, I must have been going crazy. But no, I think that this is definitely a much better time I had with Scream 2. Appreciate it. I think it's a lot better. I'm more positive about this movie, and like I said, I'm going into Scream 3 with a little bit more excitement, thinking, okay, let me just see. And I know that one was like arguably still probably the weakest for me when I first watched it, but like I think I'm ready to kind of have a little bit more fun with it. I'm gonna try to just sit back and enjoy what we have left of Scream. So
yeah, I'm excited to see where our characters are gonna go with everything they've experienced. And Sydney's a badass, dude.
There we go.
And it's like I still think Scream 3 is probably going to be weaker than the first two installments here, and probably 4. But I think, especially looking at Scream 3 through a modern lens and knowing what we've been through with like the whole Weinstein thing, I think there could be an appreciation there in terms of how meta that one gets. So I haven't watched that one in a couple of years, so I'm intrigued to go back and watch that one through a lens like that to be like, how meta were they being here in terms of subject matter that maybe a big general audience wasn't really in the know of unless you're in Hollywood and going through those channels.
Yeah. Plus, this is the last one that Kevin Williamson wrote, right?
Did he write this one?
No, I meant he did write 2. I was talking about
3. Yeah, I think 2. I don't think he wrote 3.
Okay, so then let's see. No, he did not. Okay.
Yeah, because I thought he went off and did something else, I thought at the time, but I can't remember.
So yeah, then that'll be the first one without him as a writer too. Yeah, it's just characters by for him. But he did come back and write Scream 4. So okay, that's where it is. All right, because yeah, I think that would also explain sometime. I think that would explain like maybe a little bit of where some of the less consistency falls with it, because I think like from what I remember it's pretty close, but like there are a couple things that just do feel a little bit bigger. Very Hollywood.
It seems like the DNA is a little bit different there. It doesn't feel like it still feels like a continuation of the story, but something feels off. It's just that intangible, probably Kevin Williamson's magic dust on there.
Yep, I feel you. But alrighty, folks. I think it's going to bring us to the end of the show here. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday with us. As always, we appreciate it. And if you are listening the morning after or just a little bit after, we appreciate you for sticking with us. Let's see. By the way, you guys motivate me. I think a lonely 32-year-old is going to see the Bone Temple alone. You're great, brother. Don't even worry about it. I'm glad you'll
have a great time.
I saw the new Bone Temple alone, and I stand by it, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, see, going to the movies alone is not sad. I don't know why people think it is. I go all the time.
I think it's more therapeutic. Too.
I think so too. You know, there's no pressure. You don't have to worry about the people next to you having a good time. You can just sit there and enjoy it yourself or hate it yourself. So, if you like David Arquette, I want to see him do something a little different. Look at a movie called Johns from 1996. It's very bleak and depressing. Ooh, okay. Well, I'm interested.
Interesting.
Male
I've never heard of it.
prostitutes, David Arquette. Let's go.
Yes, please. Full frontal.
I love it.
Sign me up.
No, I'm down. I always like to see actors take very big departures and do something a little crazy, a little something different. So I think that's fun. Got to shake it up every once in a while. More ways
Shake
than
it up.
one.
Male prostitutes.
Yes. But yeah, see, this is why we get yelled at by homophobes in our comments all the time, because we say stuff like this to each other and then that confuses them. So, you know, it's what are you going to do? But anyway, alrighty, folks, that's going to wrap us up here. Thank you as always. So with all that, till next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
I'm Luke Janesco.
I'm Adrian.
And stay scared.
Do the hard shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.